just because the Yankees have been, they are, you mentioned it, they're always the pinnacle. They're such big news all the time. And their two most forward facing executives have been under fire this
Right.
offseason, Aaron Boone and Buck Showald. I'm sorry, Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman. You played for those guys. I wonder if you could tell us, do you think Aaron Boone is a good manager? Do you think Brian Cashman's a good general manager?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And some of the best advice I got when I went to New York, I'm not going to name the player, but was that the Yankee fan base expects an all-star at every position every day, right? And it's true and rightfully so. And that's not just for the players on the field, right? That's your manager, that's your general manager, that's your owner or whatnot. So when you have a season or when you haven't won a World Series in a while, I think the fan base, I know the fan base there gets restless. And they're going to critique everybody. I think Brian Cashman, he's the longest tenured GM in the game. He's a great baseball guy. I'm not so sure you're going to find a better baseball guy, a guy that's experienced multiple ways to win championships. Um, Aaron Boone, the same way. I mean, you look at the baseball family, him as a player. I mean, you're not going to really find a better baseball resume. Booney does a great job with the players. Players love playing for him. Boone's the right guy for New York. He handles the media well, I think. He communicates with players well. He's a good manager for the player now that's coming up, right? Because it's a new type of player. And with Cashman, he communicated great with me. I think sometimes, and this happened to me personally, when analytics comes into play, like right, we get our iPad. You can go down the rabbit hole of analytics, and you can kind of find anything to justify anything, right? Like the numbers, you can kind of skew them anyway to paint the picture you wanted to paint. And I think with Brian, it might be just, maybe needed to blend the two a little bit more. I'm not so sure because I'm not in the front office. I only know what I saw as a player and what I was exposed to. And I'm not exposed to what's happening behind closed doors in the front office. So I don't really know, what their discussions are going on. I just know as a player there, a lot of times in the clubhouse, I felt like there was this disconnect between some of the things that we were presented with and what we were seeing on the field as players. Um, and sometimes that creates, that rift, which is not what you want. You want a very, from a clubhouse culture standpoint, you want everything to mesh well together, whether it be the communication from the front office to the play on the field. And I felt that sometimes the two just weren't connecting well. What the players were saying, and we're like, hey, we should be doing this, and yet this has been working well. And then sometimes the way that was implemented through the data didn't line up. And I don't think I'm the only player that feels that way. But I don't think it's Brian Cashman or Aaron Boone. I think it's an organizational thing because, like I said, Brian's won in the game through all these different transitions of whether it be the shift or how data is interpreted and applied to, signing free agents or trading for players or, building out your roster. So I think he's the right guy. He's a great baseball guy. I just think sometimes we got to step back. Me as a player, I did it too, and figure out what the data is telling me, and then what should I be applying and what maybe I shouldn't be applying.